Hello and welcome to Anden's channel, my channel, and today I am going to make a video where I talk about my first ever experience with Dungeons and Dragons. So it all started last month. When I say last month, I really mean October, not November. It's just that it's the fucking... My coworkers, they started to talk a bit about D&D. And all my knowledge really from D&D comes from the first season of Stranger Things when the kids are all playing D&D in like the first episode. And also from Rooster Teeth's own Heroes and Half-Wit. It's like their podcast D&D thing, and I've listened to like 30 episodes of that podcast before, more for the role-playing aspect, because I really, I enjoy the people playing the game. I was very confused about all like the combat encounters, and I would often like skip those. So that was really all my knowledge about Dungeons and Dragons in October. And one of my coworkers was gonna be looking for a dungeon master, the person who controls everything, the god person. So while that was happening, I spent almost the entirety of October and a fairly large chunk of November as well, just reading up about what Dungeons and Dragons is. I got to read all about the player's handbook, just to learn about all the classes and all the races, and that's when I realized, like, oh my god, I never thought that Dungeons and Dragons were literally just a video game, but without the screen, I mean, I was just like, wow, so this is what all fucking role-playing games are based off of? That's crazy. The fact that I never, knew really much about it. I ran into more podcasts. I started to listening to Heroes and Half-Wits again. I started to re-listen, just to get some more information about what's actually happening in the game that they're playing. I also found a D&D podcast called The Adventure Zone by the McElroy brothers, they're fairly famous internet people, I guess. And now today I've listened to over 70 episodes of that podcast. I really just listen to everything, and I fucking adored that podcast. So hey, if you're into D&D and you want to listen to a D&D podcast, fucking Adventure Zone is incredible. It's so good. And I also found the Critical Role, which is also a D&D thing that you can find on YouTube, where they have over hundreds of hours of professional voice actors playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's fucking insane. I had no idea, how has this not been in my life until now? They have fucking Matt Mercer, Laura Bailey, Travis Willingham, all of these super professional voice actors. So when I listened to the Adventure Zone and watched that, my mind was just like, oh shit, because now I'm seeing all of these professional people, voice actors there doing voices and doing and that's what I love about role playing and stuff. I was just like, wow, that is exactly what I would want, because I like doing voices. When watching Critical Role, it made me think ooh, it would be cool to be a DM in the future, That's mainly just when I have my adventurers walk into a cave and then there's an orc there and he's like, hey, what you doing in my cave? I felt oh, that could be really fun, but then I saw oh, dungeon masters have to do quite a bit, so maybe be a player first. I also created my character, and I do prefer role-playing preferably towards the combat. That's how my mind went. So I made a character with high charisma and all that, so you can have high persuasion and intimidation and all that. So I made a half-elf because they have charisma to them, and then also a warlock because they also have charisma to them. So I'm a half-elf warlock, and my name is Axel. I honestly also picked half-elf just because they have facial hair. Because I was just well, he has to have cool facial hair, because normal elves apparently don't have facial hair, and that's bullshit. So I'm a cool half-elf with facial hair, and I'm a warlock. And then also I had to write my backstory and stuff, and since I am a fucking story guy more than a gameplay guy, naturally I wrote 5 pages of backstory for my character that I cut down to the 1 page to fit in the character sheet. And the character sheet and all of that, I think we all in our party we did it on a website called orcpub2.com. That's basically what I did to prepare myself. I created my character with so much love, listened to everything about D&D from all these professional people, and so in my mind, my expectations for what we were going to do were just extremely low, because in my mind, obviously, there's no way that what we're gonna be playing, can match up to what I've been listening to and watching. So I set myself up with really low expectations, and I gotta say, now that it's tomorrow, because I went there yesterday and we did all of this, my overall experience of having played Dungeons and Dragons for the first time is that I really enjoyed it. To me, it was so much fun. It was so fucking fun. We played for 5 hours. We didn't get anywhere. Because a lot of it was us just okay, so what does this do and what does this do? Because we were 3 players who didn't have that much like knowledge about D&D, so it took a while, but I really enjoyed it. So I guess I wanted to recap my first adventure in a D&D world. So we started everything off with the DM explaining like where we are and what we're doing. So we're sitting like on a wagon filled with soap, and we are hired bodyguards for this soap trader. So during the beginning here, we're all in this wagon, and to me, for like the first 15, like 30 seconds or so, it was a bit awkward, because I was just like, okay, so should we like, you know, should we be our characters now? We should like talk and stuff. So it took like 15 seconds for me to get like, yeah, okay, I get it. But then as soon as I got it, I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, I see what we're supposed to be doing here. My character, the half-elf warlock, he went and sat next to the trader, who we found out was named Simon. And so my character started talking with him, and due to my fucking charisma, of course, naturally we became close friends. We had a halfling rogue, a wood elf fighter, archer, and then we had a half celestial, I think, paladin, and then a barbarian, I guess. Can't remember the names of all the characters. That's why I'm profiling them by their race and class. So my character sits and talks to Simon, the soap trader. The wood elf archer has like keeps like a lookout, and so does the paladin. And the halfling rogue, he steal some of the soap because that's what he does. He's a bit of like a thief. On the road that we're traveling, there's just a priest standing there. So immediately, because it's in my character that I'm a bit like suspicious of strangers, and I also have trouble like trusting my allies and stuff, I'm immediately just like, nope, we cannot let this man on. He might be lying, he might be something else. I find this very suspicious. But the other people in my party, they wanted to let this poor priest on, but I was just like, shit, okay, do I go with the majority? Because I don't really trust these people either. So then I turned to the soap trader, and I said something like, oh, but in the end, it's really up to you, not us. What do you think we should do? And then I could have done like a persuasion thing to make sure that this soap trader doesn't invite the priest on, but I chose not to. Which, he invited the priest on to sit on the soap with the rest of our party, and now when I'm looking back at it, our fucking DM totally made it seem like he was going to be one of those like NPCs that helps you along, because he was just like, well, I mean, every party needs a priest, and I was just like, I don't fucking trust you, he's a fucking piece of shit. My character tried to make the priest more at ease, because obviously I was very like apprehensive about letting him on board, so I made a little like deception thing to pretend that, okay, yes, I'm sorry, but really I wasn't sorry, because I fucking knew that he's up to something. And then a few hours later, oh, by the way, this is all like from my perspective, that's why you're mostly hearing about my character, because it's all about me here, baby. Our wood elf archer, he spots some ruffling in the woods, and he tells all of us like, guys, I think there might be something here. So in the end here, we're 5 members in our party, so 3 of them, they walk into the forest, but they're still very close to the wagon. Let's just say we didn't split the party up. Like, we could still hear them even though there were like trees and some bushes in the way. I decided to stay with the barbarian just to keep an eye on the precious soap, but the priest, he joins them. And I'm like, ah, shit, I probably should come with them, because that fucking priest is gonna stab them in the back. I just know it. But I decided to stay because the barbarian, he actually doesn't seem that very like, you know, he doesn't seem like he wants to fight that much, according to his character. And I was just like, oh shit, if this fucking wagon gets ambushed from that way, I don't know. So I decided to also stay. When the rest of the party goes into the woods, sure enough, it's a fucking ambush, and it's the first combat encounter that I've ever had in D&D. And so now I'm gonna tell you how that goes. But I took pictures as well after every round, so here we go. So it all started with us making the initiative rolls. So I was the second person in the round to go. As the rest of our party was walking into the woods, Bandit starts to walk forward, and they scream something like at the priest. Yes, the priest's name, because they obviously knew it. So obviously this priest wasn't such a priest after all, maybe even the leader of this bandit group. And my character was just like, yes, I've never felt more vindicated in my life before. I was completely right. We should never let that fucking priest on. And so it all starts off with the halfling rogue, who makes a sneak attack, and he has like some damage thing or something. He just completely stabs the priest, kills him instantly. And that was a fun turn of events. So the priest that we all left on, that I was suspicious of, he's already dead. And so the rest of the bandits, they start to attack, but it's my turn next. And according to the DM, I can sort of see where the characters are, like in the woods, you know, they're not super hidden. So I shoot an Eldritch Blast right at a person's face, and it hits one of the bandits' eye, and he gets scared because he's now like half blind or something, he can't really see, so he tries to run away. But as he runs away, our archer, he tries to shoot an arrow towards him, the arrow misses, and so the bandit, he successfully runs away. Damn it. After that, it's sort of the bandit's turn, and one of the bandits who turned out to be a race-hating halfling, he runs up and attacks our halfling rogue, that deals some damage to him. I'm also pretty sure it was at this point another bandit was hiding behind a tree, and he shoots an arrow at our archer, and it hits him in the calf. I think that's where this happened, I'm not sure of the timeline of everything. But so me, who's still by the wagon, I get stabbed in the back, I get fucking shanked by a bandit who's been sneaking up, and I lost like 6 HP, and the only reason why this happened is because I had to make a second dice roll that was much lower than my initial one, because someone had to remind the DM about the whole surprise attack thing. You know who you are. So now I only had like 5 HP. Luckily, it's the barbarian's turn, and he attacks the bandit who attacked me with a javelin and splash, but he's still alive, the bandit. And now it's the paladin's turn, and I can't really remember what happened, but I'm pretty sure he missed, because I feel like I would have taken a picture of him succeeding, but I didn't, so I feel like he missed. And then our rogue halfling, he attacks the other halfling who attacked him, and he kills him instantly. Literally, the halfling has now killed like 2 people. He's standing in the corpses of his own enemies. Pretty damn glorious. And then it's my character's turn again, and I get a pretty high roll with everything, with damage and all of that, and so I shoot an Eldritch Blast at the already damaged bandit, and I completely explode his head. According to the DM, that's what happened. His head fucking gone. Fantastic. Our archer moves up to a position where he can shoot the bandit archer that shot him, and he successfully do it, but the bandit archer is still alive, and the bandit archer now tries to run away. So our paladin, he uses up his entire turn, so he's able to get to the position that the bandit archer is in, so that he can do a surprise attack, I guess, when it's the archer's turn and the archer tries to run away from him. Luckily, it's now my turn again, because our halfling rogue in the team, he started to loot the bodies, so it's my turn, and I move to a position where I can aim a lovely Eldritch Blast onto this bad guy over here. And now I rolled for the first time a natural 20, so I got to do double damage on my Eldritch Blast, and according to the DM, I fucking disintegrated that guy, and it was awesome. And that is how we won our first combat encounter. For me, I've heard everyone talking about that being a warlock can be a bit boring because you basically only do Eldritch Blasts, and yes, that is what I did, but I did it to great effect. Combat encounters and stuff was the thing that worried me the most, because I was afraid that I wasn't going to enjoy them, and I enjoyed them quite a bit. It was very fun. I also really enjoyed having a visual representation of where the characters are and, you know, what they're gonna do next, and, you know, just that. It actually helped quite a bit, you know, visualizing everything. And also it was very fun just fucking shooting a person's head off with like an energy beam. Needless to say, the fact that I managed to recap all of this just now, it was actually very memorable and fun. Now I explained all of this in like a few minutes. The actual encounter took like over an hour, because there was a lot of us just like, so what does this dice do? What is this? So after all of this, the priest is dead. I was right. Hooray. We all take a short rest on the wagon, and then we take a long rest, you know, setting up camp to sleep. And since I'm a half elf and we have a wood elf, we can't sleep, but we can meditate for 4 hours instead of sleeping for 8 hours. So we decided that, okay, well, we can be watching, you know, guard and all of that while they are sleeping. And that is when we get attacked by 2 giant lizards. And I didn't take pictures of this combat encounter, but we get attacked by 2 giant lizards, and I have an argument with the wood elf, because the wood elf is just like, oh, maybe they're friendly, and I'm like, the fucking giant lizard, what the fuck are you doing? So we start a combat encounter to defeat these 2 giant lizards, and we win, of course. But I just want to say, we had a really fun thing where the paladin tries to attack a giant lizard, he misses. The archer tries to shoot the lizard, he just misses completely. Then I try to shoot an Eldritch Blast at a lizard, I miss also. So then our barbarian who raged up. So when all of us just completely missed this giant lizard, the barbarian, he just fucking like swings his axe at the giant lizard and defeats him. And then after all of that, we think we have like a fucking lizard barbecue or something. Can't really remember that part, but I remember that we're finally at the, you know, the town that we were going to. It's still probably the prologue. We haven't really gone that far, but it's been like 5 hours of actual like playing time, and that's when we find out that the lovely town we were going to isn't so lovely after all, because there are giant columns of smoke and there's a giant fucking dragon in the middle of the town completely destroying it, and our session ends with our characters walking into that mess. And what's gonna happen next? I don't know. I do know that if we have to defeat a dragon, ooh, that's gonna be a short-lived experience, isn't it? It was very fun. You know, I really like that we were able to end it on an actual like cliffhanger. Like, tune in next time to find out what happens. I was so surprised because I didn't expect it to be like this. And obviously, me being more of like a story person, I was a bit afraid that maybe I spoke too much and didn't let like the other people talk as much, because I just like do that like naturally. So me personally, I had great fun. I hope the others had fun as well, and I can't wait until we do this again. Unfortunately, we might not be able to play again until next year, because it's Christmas and we're 3 Swedish people and we're gonna travel home over the holidays. So yeah, we're probably not gonna be able to play until 2019. Ooh. But I had fun, and this has been quite a long video of me talking about my first ever experience playing Dungeons and Dragons. If you have any questions, feel free to, you know, write them in the comment section down below. Would love to answer them and read them and all of that. Would be great fun. And if you're watching this video and you like Dungeons and Dragons, please let me know like your first experiences. Like, what were they like? What do you think about Dungeons and Dragons? You know, we'll have to hear that as well in the comment section. And I'm gonna go now though, but I hope y'all have a fantastic day, and I hope you like just listening to me talk. Yeah. Goodbye.